Hello YouTube fans and welcome to Retire in Lake Chapala. We provide you with all the information you need to make informed decisions about moving to Lake Chapala. Today we have with us Greg from Atlanta, Georgia, and Greg has just finished taking a retirement seminar. He's been here just over a week now. And Greg, please tell us a few things about yourself and why you chose Ahihi.
Sure. My dad's an immigrant to the U.S. from Cuba, and so when it came closer to time for me to retire, I started doing searches, and Mexico popped up. Obviously, some places in Mexico can be inexpensive to live, but the environments I didn't realize quite how different they were. The one thing I didn't want was to always be hot, and I discovered both coasts of Mexico seemed to be pretty warm most of the time. So then it left the interior, and this region of Ajijic seemed to keep popping up on lots of videos.
We certainly have a fabulous climate here, and it's true that for 6 months of the year, living on either coast gets pretty unbearable for most people. So you can't beat the climate here. You've been here a week. What do you think of it so far?
I wouldn't have called this January.
We never know it. We never know what month it is here. It's perpetual. Spring or summer, whatever you want to call it. So.
And while it's been cool, I'm not used. I spent some of my growing up years in the tropics, and it's kind of neat to see papayas and avocados and other trees in this area because it doesn't freeze, and bananas as well. I like bananas in the tropics. I don't care for them much back in the States. They taste like chalk sticks. So
yeah. Our little papaya trees are doing great. We just harvested some, and you had some of that papaya.
Oh yeah.
Nice fresh off the tree, eh?
Deep red color. It wasn't on a boat coming from somewhere for 6 months.
Yeah. So what are your first impressions of the Chapala area?
Well, it's kind of amazing. I've never been someplace tropical that's this cool. It's always been pretty warm, and you'd rely strictly on the sea breezes to keep it cool. So it's kind of neat. And then at the same time, the elevation, I guess, gives it some of that change.
Mm-hmm.
I like how I see, what was the phrase I said earlier? How I see people interacting with each other. The relationships that people build here aren't quite like in the States. Personal free enterprise seems to actually be booming because all sorts of people do all sorts of little shops and things like that, but at the same time you can find, I guess, the Costco's and the Walmarts and places like that. I like that there's that full scale, I guess.
Yeah, we have it all here. We have of course, the larger city of Guadalajara close by with Costco and all that sort of stuff. And yet this is still a small village, and it still has its own traditions and small tiendas and arboretas and all that. So it's a unique mix, isn't it? Is there any community that you've liked the best so far?
Well, funny enough, I had done some research ahead of time, and one of the places I was a little skeptical of actually turned out to be one of both of our favorites was the Racket Club.
Mm-hmm.
But then there have been other individual homes here and there that we've appreciated seeing as well along the way.
Yeah, I know I showed you a couple in Las Salvias, which is actually very close to the village of Ajijic that you liked as well. So.
And then my wife mentioned also that we had seen the first home that we saw. I think it was that day where the couple was there. That was a nice location as well as that particular home.
That was in Brises de Chapala. Brises de Chapala is just a few minutes outside of Chapala. And it's a more rural community. It's a nice big plateau, a nice open field, so it gives you a more countryside feel to it.
Okay. Yeah, no, those were nice locations. Most of the places that we looked at also had really nice views of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Something kind of we've been looking for, but like you said, everybody's looking for something different.
Everybody is looking for something different. Absolutely true. Yeah. So. We're here to help match up what you guys want to something you really like. So
I'm starting to think I'd like, because it's on the level going east and west along with the lake, maybe finding a bicycle or tricycle to do riding along the Nothing
The
else
Ciclopista?
yeah, on
Yeah, the cycle path.
on the Carretera.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that would be a great place to do some exercise because it's not super steep once you get to it.
Yeah, yeah, lots of e-bikes now and e-tricycles on the Carretera. I passed a really old lady on a e-tricycle this morning on my walk. So, and they're really booting along the highway there. So, great way to get around, pretty convenient. So how has the retirement seminar been for you? Is it, you've met all the professionals this week, and has it answered all your questions?
Yes, and again, each of the professionals, it seemed, had that level of caring and developing an individual relationship in as well as a professional relationship. That's something that I look for. I've looked for as I've developed my career and that sort of thing. So going into retirement, that's been wonderful. They've helped me think about things that I hadn't quite thought of. And again, our situation being different, perhaps, or everybody having different situations, coming for the seminar, I was able to ask the questions that were individual or tailored to us, as opposed to, you can get a lot of information from watching your videos and some of the other videos, but to me, actually coming here and you having help us make those connections, that's wonderful.
Yeah, we sort of help put the pieces together. All the pieces are there, and all the professionals will give you their piece of the puzzle, and it's our job to help you put that all together. So,
right. So we found a question that I'll probably be doing some follow up on, kind of balancing immigration and or the moving of our household. We'll see how that all plays out, but we're still a little in the planning phase, so that's kind of nice that we weren't up against a hard deadline either, so we can double check and
yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, you've done the right thing. You're planning ahead, thinking ahead, getting all your ducks in order, so to speak, and I think you'll make a very, very successful move when the time comes. How have you found the cost of living to be here?
Surprising. Again, some of the YouTube research I'd done, I was looking at the homes of their Google Maps, and you could look at some of the homes that I've seen listed for sale, and as few solar panels are on them, I was thinking, how in the world could they actually have a zero balance on power for some of these homes? And I realized now that we're here, why is, well, it really is truthful that you really aren't probably going to need, this is our first trip, and we're planning on coming back at least a couple more times, I think, but yeah, you really don't need to be running that much power in the HVAC category, so that really can save a lot, and now you can get away with a lot less power use, so that's nice. It's just been gorgeous. Yeah, we've had the windows open, like I said, what is this, mid-January?
Yeah, yeah.
So.
And things like groceries and restaurants, how have they been for you?
Restaurants, the quality is great compared to the area of the U.S. that we're at around Atlanta is got a lot of the chain restaurants, and we haven't been to any. But the prices and the quality are great, and I'd say some of them, the higher end might have been comparable to prices that you'd pay in the States, whereas the average were a bit less. But the food everywhere, fresh fruits, vegetables, as well as even the meats were delicious here. So, so I think prices were great as far as that sort of thing goes. We did a lot of that, so we weren't at the grocery that much, but those prices did seem to be lower. One of the things I heard on a video or two was, if you look at the local Mexican brands as compared to the U.S. brands, sometimes that's an even bigger savings. So that's one thing my wife definitely noticed as well.
Yeah, for sure. Imported items, of course, there's duties on there, and there's shipping, and things like cans can be quite expensive because they're heavy and bulky. So yeah, it certainly can. You can certainly save money by shopping more local and locally supplied Mexican products.
As far as other kinds of costs of living, what we're seeing for ongoing expenses for living here, since everybody, either you're going to rent or you buy outright, either way, then the rest of the costs, whether it's taxes and utilities and things like that, are way lower than our region of the US.
Yeah, most property taxes here, $250, $300. So and that's for a year. So very, very inexpensive.
And
Mhm.
we're going back and forth on, I guess, some of the associations and whether we want to live in one or not.
Mhm.
But again, even those prices aren't that much compared to most of the places we've seen for homeowners dues in the States. Those are pretty low.
Yeah, definitely something to consider, HOA fees. In general, it's hard to average, but $75 a month is kind of an average, maybe $100 a month. But it could go up to $250, even $3. But there's a wide variance there, of course, but not compared to the United States and Canada, very, very inexpensive still as well.
That's true.
Any advice you'd like to give to others who are considering the big move to Lake Chapala?
Definitely worth coming. I've appreciated being able to come on a private kind of a seminar week. Being able to ask questions that way, I think that was worth it for us. Other people might enjoy being a part of a bigger group, but being here can't replace it. It's like I tell people, it's one thing to look at a picture of the Grand Canyon. It's another thing to stand on one of the edges of it and looking out to it. And it's the same thing here. You can see lots of videos and just how wide the lake is, but until you're actually here and standing on one of the Malacons that are beautiful, it really is that beautiful.
Yeah, and one of the things that surprised you the most was how big the mountains are here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that definitely doesn't show up on camera.
Well, we run both private seminars like Greg has taken this week, and we also run group seminars as well. So we welcome you to join us. And thank you, Greg, for joining us on the program today. And we look forward to having you back here at Lake Chapala.
I'm looking forward to it too. Thanks.
Good, thank you.